Okay, and we're live. So, welcome. So, today we have a very special guest, a very anticipated one, the Tesla dollar cost averaging experiment. Welcome, man. So, please, explain who you are and tell us a bit about yourself.
Thank you so much for having me on the show today. Really appreciate it.
No worries.
As you already know, I'm a huge fan of your content as well.
Thank you.
But really, my name is Denis.
Nice.
I started Tesla DCA experiments a couple of months ago, just because things were going really well with my investments with Tesla, and I know there were a lot of people that wanted to start investing and they didn't really know how to do it. So I just wanted to start something very simple, which was dollar cost averaging. So using some of the savings that you could be making on a day-to-day basis and investing that into a stock.
Yeah.
And also just to track Tesla a little better, because I want to become a really good Tesla bull in that sense and see how Tesla is going to be growing over the time. And so that's why I started a channel, basically, just to help people to see that you can start investing from as little as, I'm doing £5 a day, but other people might just do £2 a day, just whatever you can, really.
And that's really good. And I've recommended so many people your channel, because one of the questions that I get is how much money do you need to start off investing? And it's such a common misconception that you need so much money to start investing, but with brokerages today, with fractional shares, you can literally average into the best companies. So that's really good, and that's really motivational. So I would also ask, so why Tesla dollar cost averaging experiment? Why not GM dollar cost averaging experiment, or Ford, or Nikola?
Good question. I think for me, the excitement of the company, I just like the products. They're like a new Apple, right? From my perspective. And I just love what they're trying to do with kind of renewable energy and trying to be disruptive technology that's going to take away the oil and gas, give us fully autonomous cars in the future. I just love tech. And for me, Tesla has been a company that I've been following for years. I didn't always invest in them, but it's always been a company that's been on my horizon, so to say. And then when I started investing with them, just with the dollar cost averaging, you don't know when is the best time, because I had a lot of my friends that were traders. They were like, oh, the price is too high, the price is too high. And for me, I was like, the best way is the dollar cost average. So I'll just go in slowly and surely with kind of the money that I can and just average in over time, and slowly just been building a portfolio towards Tesla. And then off the back of that, I started the channel just to show other people that, you can start investing in Tesla as well. They were in the news every day. Everyone's like, oh, is this going to go to 22,000? Is it going to crash to, $100 per share? It's quite exciting.
Yeah, it really is.
Prove people wrong that you could enter the market at any time, as long as you invest in a good company that has good fundamentals and has a great plan for the next 5 to 10 years, really.
Yeah, and again, that's another reason why I really like your channel, because I feel like it's going to be, some people make those videos where you only click on them once and you never go back, but your channel especially is going to be such a good thing to look back on over such a long period of time. So you have to keep it up, man. There's no escaping.
I will, and that's commitment. I was thinking, wow, I promised everyone I'm going to be keeping them up to date, weekly updates on my investment journey with Tesla. So for a full year, it's commitment, and I'm definitely going to keep it up.
That's cool. So what, you only gonna plan to do it for a year and then see what it is and then transition, or what are your plans past that point?
Obviously I'd hope to do it for much longer, but I think 1 year is the goal, at least, and see how dedicated I can be to a specific cause. I'm quite new to the YouTube thing, and it takes time. It's dedication. It's dedication, your own time that you're investing, and I just want to do it hard and properly for a full year, and then just see where that takes us. 1 year from now, when we finish the project, then we'll see. But I'm really hoping to keep it going, just to show everybody how it can be done, basically.
Okay, no, that sounds really good. Okay, that makes sense. So I just want to get a bit more of a history about you and your money, because in one of your videos you explained how you used to kind of dabble into trading, and I think that's a
a common path that.
No, it's really important that other people learn from, I guess what you would call mistakes. It was quite hard because, just like a lot of people, we're thinking about how can we grow our money? How can we make our money work for itself or work for us while we're sleeping? We're thinking about passive incomes. How can we generate more passive income streams? And for me, one of those things were like, trading, Bitcoin, all these things, early on.
We've all been down there.
Yeah. So in the beginning, I didn't know where to start. I mean, there's so much information, and then you're like, who are you going to trust? You start asking your friends. They're like, I'm doing trading. But, there's a big difference between trading and investing, right? But for me, it was always, they were using the word trading. So I thought that trading was the best way to do it. And I started following, maybe I shouldn't mention any names, but it was the really big guy within the financial space that invests in penny stock.
Oh, God.
These would go full parabolic in like 1 day, 2 days. So you could short, like it seemed really easy, right?
That's how they make it out to be.
I was just following. Sorry?
I said that's how they make it out to be.
Yeah. And so I was kind of just following them, trying to get, I did like a course that they had, free course, and I felt really confident at the end of the course, like, trading. And it was just too fast for me. I was missing trade. Just the nervousness of like entering a trade. Have I done the right thing? Is this the time to get out? You were always too greedy. So I was losing a lot of money. I didn't find a way to be consistent. I guess that's the most important thing. So some days I had good days. Other days I was like, oh my God, what am I doing? Is this how it's supposed to be? Too much information in the beginning, overload, and just following people without really understanding things, and losing money that I shouldn't really be losing.
I see.
And then at one point, I believe I was talking to one of my other friends that was just an investment. He worked for an investment firm, and he was just saying, we always think 5 to 10 years ahead. And I'm like, so you're just investing and just leaving it there. And then, it's like, we're just trying to beat the S&P 500. You kept it very basic. And I'm like, okay, that's really interesting. So maybe I can start doing this, because I'm still doing that on a monthly basis with my salary, right? We're investing into kind of, what do you call it, retirement account.
Yeah.
They're dollar cost averaging. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
And I was checking what the returns were on those accounts, and I was doing really well, even though I wasn't touching it, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's a common, like, when you first start out, you kind of feel like the more that you actively move things around, the better it will perform. Like, it's a very common thing. But yeah, like one of the funniest quotes I've heard about trading is that the worst mistake you can make with trading is make your first successful trade. So in all honesty, like, hearing your story, I think you ended up okay. And like, I've heard so many worse stories, I guess, in my time.
So.
I think it's kind of like, I think you were mentioning this as well, like timing. It's not timing the market, it's time in the market. That's
exactly.
Really important. And that's just the way I kind of changed my mentality, and that's been able to bear me a lot of successful fruit in that sense. So
So where did your, like, I don't know, just interest in finance and money come from? Because you, at least with my from my experience, I'm the kind of person who's like, if I find something I love, I want to tell everyone about it. And like I said in my first video, I'll be like, guys, we all need to invest. And I just see my peers look at me like, okay, Kay. So like, lots of people don't have that same kind of mentality. So it's a very select few that actually want to, consistently chase that bag. So where did that come from for you?
I always wanted to be a millionaire. When you asked me when I was little, what do you want to be when you grow up? One was to be a pilot. The second one was to be a millionaire.
Okay.
And I've always been kind of paper chasing in that sense. But I just didn't know how to do it, right? And like the older I got, I started understanding how the rich stay rich. And I think you mentioned on one of your videos as well, we were talking about rich dad versus poor dad, how, all that stuff. And just changing my mentality, right? Just kind of think more like a rich person and kind to keep it simple and just discipline and have a plan. That's really it.
Fair enough. Rich Dad Poor Dad is I would say it's a catalyst to very much get yourself into that mentality. Like, were there any other specific resources that may be helpful to viewers that helps you get on that journey quicker?
That's a good one. To be honest, I think that was probably the one that made me, it triggered everything for me to see it in a different way. That's a good start. Then there's a lot of other things. I read a book that was called The Market Whisperer.
Okay.
Intelligent Investor as well.
Yes.
What else? Yeah, I think those were the main things really. And then just kind of, every now and then listen to interviews with kind of rich people and how they invest. I think that really helps as well.
What do you feel, because this is something that I've experienced a lot talking to people that generally don't understand finance that well, is a lot of people have a lot of animosity towards rich and wealthy people, which to me, I understand where it comes from, but at the same time, they don't pass that barrier of trying to understand how they got rich. I think a lot of people feel like it just happens, and when you look at the statistics, such a small percentage of really rich people were just born into that. A lot of value is created, which is why they are rich. So I don't know, what's been your experience with just your channel, or with friends and family, or just your conversations with people close to you about finance? Or do you just not do that?
I do that, and I think it's really good to be kind of a living example of that. I think my biggest issue in the beginning was I didn't really have it. I had a budget, but I wasn't really following my budget. And I think people need to go back to basics, because when you understand exactly what your expenses are and how much you're saving on a month-to-month basis, then your investment process is going to be a lot easier. And for me, the biggest challenge that I had is I had all my money in one account, and it was really hard for me to separate all my expenses, my liabilities, all this stuff. So when I sat down and actually took a look at it to see exactly, sorry, is that a lot of noise? I know they're doing some renovation outside. But when I sat down and actually looked at what are my expenses and how much could I be saving on a month basis, then that opened up a whole new world really, where I can understand, okay, wow, this is how much I could be saving on a month if I stick to my budget. So that discipline of getting that budget. So I always tell my friends, start a budget. Even my girlfriend, I tell her, do you have a budget? How do you know what you're going to be spending for the rest of the month?
Exactly.
Do you stay disciplined enough to stay within your budget? What are you doing with the money next month? All these things. And I try to teach other people the same way.
See, guys, if you don't subscribe to Tesla dollar cost averaging experiment, look, he's just dropping those facts. See, honestly, creating a budget is that's the first step. That is literally the primary thing that you need to do, because you can't invest if you don't know where your money's coming from. If you're leaking money, if you invest in something and then you have to sell your investments the next day because a bill's coming out that you didn't prepare for, it kind of defeats the purpose. So no, that's really cool. That makes sense. So obviously you talk about so you save money by cycling to work and living in London, as someone that used to live in central London, right by Liverpool Street. How's that experience?
Wow. It's nice. London is expensive.
Yes.
Right now. During these times, we're making a lot of savings because a lot of people are working from home, and that was one of the other reasons why I started the channel, just to show everybody now it's an opportunity for you to take a look at your finances.
Yes.
Make the most out of your money, and see where that could take you. But it's an expensive city. Obviously, I would like to buy a house one day here. So in order to do that, I still have to have a plan and have to be meticulous with my budgeting and all that stuff. So it all comes like a full circle, right? So the better I can budget, the better I stay disciplined, the quicker I can buy a house. Yeah.
Okay, no, that's really cool. I don't know whether I'll ever bother buying a house in London, because I don't know. Like I live like kind of outside London now, but I don't know, just the space you get for the price, it just doesn't seem like a good value to me, just because like, but actually I guess it depends like where you're working and the things that are around the area, and London has so much, so I guess it depends on the value that you extract from London. But I know many people that just kind of literally stick to their zone and don't venture out anywhere else.
No, I'm very much like you. I wouldn't buy something in London. It would be very much outside as well.
Yeah.
You know, I'm from Sweden originally.
Oh, wow,
you
cool.
look at what you get, what you can look at what you get for your money there.
Yeah.
You're gonna be like, wow.
I can
Buy
only
3
imagine.
houses for the same amount of money.
Oh man, that's cool. So okay, so another thing I would say, what are your general goals? So like, where do you see all of this being in like 5 years time? Classic interview question.
Yeah.
Or where would you like to be?
Good. I don't have a plan.
That's fine.
My goal is to stay disciplined. Everything that you do on a day-to-day basis is gonna generate where you're gonna be future, right? So I just like to focus on my day-to-day, my month-to-month, and I know that is gonna significantly make my chances better for kind of what I'm expecting in the future. But 5 years from now, obviously, I hope I'd still be continuing my YouTube channel.
Yeah.
I hope that my investments have a couple of more zeros on the right side of it.
Yeah. You're invested in Tesla.
So from my perspective, you're doing the right thing.
Yeah. And I think what I do on my YouTube channel is just showing how it could be done. But I obviously have a portfolio on the side as well with kind of a lot more money that I'm investing.
Okay.
But kind of like we talked about before, we like to kind of separate things so that you show people how to do it.
Yeah.
What's possible. But don't show everybody what your plans are and kind of all the money that you have.
Exactly.
But just show people kind of how to do it, help them, support them, and trying to be a source of encouragement and information, really.
Oh, that's really good. Honestly, you've answered so many of my questions like so well. Like, do you have any questions for me or anything that you've wondered?
It's fine if you don't.
Yeah, what would be? What do you think is what would be your advice for someone who's starting out?
Starting out investing or YouTube? Okay, investing.
Well, if you're just starting out now, well, I think I get quite a lot of people that reach out to me, which is like nice. And guys, if you want to reach out to both of us on Instagram, the description is going to be in the description, and I'm probably popping it up here. And feel free to reach out to us at any time, because we want to help you guys. And I would say the first thing that you need to do is, like we said before, is create a budget, because that's literally the baseline. If you loads of investment advisors would say, you need to make sure that you've got like a war chest before you even start investing, because I think there's the statistic that I think 84% of people in the UK don't even have like £100 saved up. Any kind of big expense that comes up, they're just completely screwed, which is a terrifying thought. So I would say make sure you have some savings first, and then create a budget. Then whatever that budget is, and once you realize that, okay, this is your free amount of money that you can actually spend, I would say when you first start investing, 20% of that you should use to start, because the stock market is very intimidating for people. I've had so many people message me that start investing and then just kind of stop because they're like, oh, the money's like, the market's crashed, or what do I do, So if so if you just start off with a small amount and you get used to that, I feel like it's a lot easier to then start, adding more and more over time once you get more used to things going up. And if you want to invest in Tesla, it'll give you that iron gut real quick.
Yeah. And I think another thing is, for some people, maybe the best thing is not to even follow the market. I helped my girlfriend invest, right? I told her how to do it.
That's cool.
And she checks it maybe once every 4 months.
Wow.
I tell her to do it more often, but she checks it every once in 4 months, and she's always like, oh, and she's like, wow, okay, I'm up this much. And I'm like, oh yeah. She's not worried about if the market is going down or if it's going up, whatever.
That is amazing advice.
Yeah, four companies that she's investing in, and then that's it.
Wow. I wish I could do that. Like, in all honesty, I tell myself, okay, stop checking it every day. But I just always have to. I guess it's part of the YouTube as well, because like I want to be up to date with loads of different companies, understand what's happening. So it's just a habit of mine now to just check it every day. But I don't know. Like at this point, like I said in my previous podcast, my portfolio literally swings up and down by like a couple thousand every day. So it literally means nothing to me at this point. So yeah,
you got the icy veins, right?
Yeah.
But another question for you. What do you think is going to happen with the markets? Are you kind of bothered about that at all? Talk about a second crash.
People see, and this is why I'm glad I've been investing for I've been investing for over a year now. And like when I first started investing, people were saying that, oh yeah, crash is coming, or well, literally it did happen. To be fair,
yeah.
But I also looked back in the past, and like there's always analysts will be saying a crash is coming every single year until they're eventually right. So. And at the end of the day, if a crash is coming, like, when you really get into the spirit of investing, that's a good thing, and this is what I always try to tell people, you wouldn't run away from Tesco's if they suddenly had like a 30% sale, if those are really good companies that fundamentally haven't changed, just because of the fact that the market has crashed, it doesn't really make a difference. At the end of the day, the stock prices are just a reflection of people's perception of the company. It doesn't really have any real telling on the actual underlying of the companies. I think in today's digital age, it's so easy to see each of these companies just as digits on your phone, and you're not really thinking, okay, these are actually separate companies. This is why, like, listening to people like Warren Buffett, who treats each company kind of like a farm, this is an asset, is actually doing something. I think if more people looked at each company that way, they wouldn't care that much about these market movements.
Yeah. And I know you had a really interesting portfolio where you were having dividend investing and growth, right?
Yeah.
What do you think about that combination of different companies? Do you think that's the best way to do it?
I don't think there is a best way. I feel like the more I invest, the more I feel like it's like down to your personality, and it's down to like what you feel and like what you've personally researched. To me, when I first started, I was watching a lot of like people on YouTube, and like the dividend community on YouTube is huge, and I understand why, because like psychologically, getting a dividend is like what it's crazy. It's like one of the best things, and even if it's like such a small amount, so I understand the appeal. But to me, I just started to think about it, especially when like now, like I got made redundant a while ago, and which is honestly a good thing to me, because I got to focus on the things that I wanted. But it very much makes you think about how to optimize what you have. And to me, at the end of the day, money's money. So having something pay me dividends, or investing in a good company that's going to grow over time, I see the value as the same if the monetary value is literally the same. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to focus so hard on dividends only. I'm going to expand my knowledge, and like I always like learning new things. So I was like, okay, let me look at these types of companies, and like the way you analyze a growth stock now is completely different to how you analyze a dividend paying company, and I think it's also more fun, like it's more interesting. Like dividend companies are good, but it is a kind of like an old man's investment strategy, which if you start young, you'll probably be really wealthy by the time you get there. I don't know. I feel like one thing I do feel, if you're talking about the market, is I feel at the moment there are a lot of value traps in dividend paying companies. I feel like there's a lot of established companies that made sense to invest in a while ago, but with innovation and just things moving forward, they're going to crumble. Like in my opinion, like a lot of the oil stocks, you probably saw what just happened to Exxon. Like Exxon is like crumbling. I don't know. I don't think those companies make as much sense as they used to. Personally,
I agree. Are there any other disruptive companies that you're following, except like Tesla? Are there any other ones that you find interesting?
I've been looking into Square. I feel like Square's...
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah, I think Square's...
very interesting when it comes to, just the fintech. Just what they're doing is very interesting, and like I know loads of people personally that use that product for their like small business as well. So yeah, if I had more money coming in, I definitely would be investing in Square. Apart from them, I was looking into Illumina. I have quite a lot of friends that are like very like scientific, so I was asking them their opinions and they thought it was amazing until they just it seems like they've fallen behind now, so I'm not as on track on that. And I think the advice is like I try not to spread myself too thin, and like I try to stay into my range of like understanding, because like in uni I studied computer systems engineering, so I've got a master's in that. So when it comes to technology, I feel like that's my domain. I kind of can start to understand that. But when it comes to other things, you know, I try not to go too far away from my expertise, or else, you know, it's very easy to, you know, just go in the wrong direction.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think one of the things I really appreciate about OhKay is like you're starting early. Like I think I'm like 10 years older than you. I think you're like, what is it, 25?
Yeah, I'm 25.
Like that? Yeah. So, you know, the thing about starting early, I think that's really good. And that's why I really appreciate what you're kind of doing for kind of your community there. Just teaching them start early. The earlier, the better, really. That's going to give you kind of a good head start. And I know that a lot of people are not even thinking about this. And I wish there were more incentives to teach all these things in school.
100%.
It's just going to help you so much more.
Yeah.
No, I completely agree with that. Like, I think that's another realization that you hit. It's like, once you start learning about all of this, you're like, why wasn't I taught this in school? Like, to be fair, in my engineering course, we had one lecture about stocks. Like, one lecture, which is probably like the most valuable lesson we had in my entire degree. But yeah, I don't know why they don't. Well, there's conspiracy theories why they don't, but I guess we don't need to
go into that.
But I guess we're lucky. We have this platform which we are trying to build up, and we can be those people that educate the you know, the new generation that want to learn about it. At the end of the day, it's just trying to reach as many people as possible and like get people interested in it, that I think is a bit difficult. But yeah.
One more is what do you think about Bitcoin and everything? Because you were talking about Square and kind of they're heavily into kind of Bitcoin as well.
2017, when, you know, the big Bitcoin bubble burst, or like when it was going up, I was so into like just all crypto. Like I was investing in Bitcoin, Litecoin, just like getting into all these, like when I say like I've got that kind of like, no, I wouldn't say addictive personality, but like a very, whatever I get into, I want to know everything. I have to understand the space. So I was like getting into ICOs, because like at that point in time, for people that don't know, an ICO is an initial coin offering. So it's similar to like an IPO. So when a company first becomes public, they issue shares to the public. When a crypto first like reaches the crypto space, they have an ICO. So they distribute a lot of their tokens to early investors. And in 2017, like at least kind of like the way I see Nicola, like just companies merging and like just sprouting all over the place. Companies back then were just like, everyone was having a crypto, and it was just rampant for fraud. I have a bit of a mixed experience with that, but when it comes to Bitcoin specifically, I do think it's when people say it has no intrinsic value, I'm confused, because like it clearly does. Like in countries that have like inflation, like Venezuela, you know, that like it's extremely important for them, and just having a decentralized currency where people can, you know, just happily spend their money and, you know, do whatever they want with it, I think is important. Like I don't know whether you've recently had this. I can remember the first time I called Santander or something for like a transfer, and they were like, "Oh, what are you going to spend this money on?" And like, I felt I felt so offended. I was like, I was like, wait, like, who are you? Like, I can spend it on whatever I want. It's like, so I understand that feeling of like, oh, if I had this asset, like, there wouldn't be that kind of intervention of. Sorry, I could go into this so much. I remember having this conversation with one of my best friends, like probably like let's say 6 years ago, and I just had the feeling like this paper money that we have, it's gonna go away. Like I see it being less and less useful, and like now even more so. You know, that's why I guess at times you have to thank the pandemic. It's really spurring on innovation. But I think the negative aspect of that is I see a lot of countries will start to implement their own kind of digital currency, and there are loads of dangers with that, with governments potentially not at first controlling what you spend your money on, but incentivizing money being spent in certain places and slowly decentivizing it in other places. So it's just that kind of control. So I do see that, just to kind of answer your question, I do see a real value in Bitcoin. I do see like it eventually like being a good thing until quantum computers come in and then just completely destroy like the hash code. But
good point.
Yeah.
Good point.
But yeah, what's your thoughts on it?
I believe in it in the same way, and I think it was more evident the more I was traveling to different countries. And I need to exchange more money, and I think basically when I was in Cuba, it was really interesting because they had like two different currencies.
Okay.
So one for the tourists and then one for the local people. And
really? Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and it was just obviously the one for the local people is not worth anything.
Oh wow.
I think I had the best meal I've ever had for 5p.
Wow. Okay.
Chicken, rice, salad, drink, 5p. That's how much it was worth.
Damn. Okay, I'm going to Cuba.
And that, and it was ridiculous. And like the more you travel, the more you see how important it is to have kind of a decentralized currency. But yeah, it'd be interesting to follow that space as well. Last question, Kay.
Okay.
What's going on with the merch, man? I know you.
I knew this was coming up. Like after this, I'll send you some screenshots just to because we're on that level now, so I'll let you kind of see how things are going. But it's a very it takes a lot of work, because essentially what I'm doing is like the merchant that I'm using to set up the store is very well known. It's essentially I'm using Teespring, so I'm creating the designs on there, and I think a lot of YouTubers will just kind of leave it at that, just kind of leave it like a merch store like that. Whereas I want to create a whole website around that, so it looks a lot more professional, and like just a lot more usable. Good, and again, but I'm all about finances, and I honestly want to make investing cool. So it's just the idea of just making that a lot more accessible to a lot more people, and I feel like a clothing line is an interesting approach to doing that. So. Yeah, it's coming out. We'll have hoodies. We have like hoodies, sweatshirts, t-shirts, face masks, like a lot of stuff. So yeah, it's coming out,
man.
And I hope we eventually get the dollar cost averaging and chill merch from you. So I saw your goal. Once you reach 1,000 subscribers. So guys, we want those t-shirts. So please subscribe to Dollar Cost Averaging Experiment.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Kay, for having me.
No worries.
Today. I'm sure great. We will touch base later.
100%.
And kind of discuss anything else that's kind of interesting. I really like the stuff that you're doing on your channel, man.
Thank you.
Keep us inspired. Keep doing what you do. Teach people. The more you give of yourself, the more you're going to get back. So just keep it up, man.
I agree. Thank you so much, man. Okay. I'll see you later.
Yes.
See you, man.
Adios.
Bye.